Hi guys, welcome to the Smiling Professor. My name is Bukola, and today in this video we're going to discuss factors to consider before you apply for a PhD program. Welcome back again guys. So before we go to discuss the video of today, I would like to say thank you to everybody who subscribes to my channel so far and has taken time out to comment on my videos. I would like to say thank you to Cheryl, Bumi and Elo for being the first people to comment on my last video, some challenges some African women might face in conducting business in Africa. Thank you so much for the support. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, please take the time out to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the red button below. Before I start, I would like to say that everything I'll be discussing today is based on my own personal experience and also my own personal research. So it might not be the same for every country or every PhD project. So my best advice would be, if you're applying for a PhD program, you have to do your specific research into the requirements of the PhD study and also the requirements of the PhD program. Just a quick recap on my educational qualification. So I have a BSc in chemical engineering. I also have an MBA in management. I'm presently a PhD researcher, and my PhD focus is management science in a science-based industry. It goes without saying, I'm actually a PhD researcher. So I've divided this video into two parts. The first part will be general information on PhD, while the second part will be where I actually discuss the factors you should consider before you apply for a PhD program. So let's start with some general information about PhD. So a PhD stands for Doctor of Philosophy, or is sometimes referred to as a doctorate. It's actually the highest level of qualification a student can achieve. Normally, the entry level for a PhD program, the minimum qualification you would need is an undergraduate degree, or sometimes you might also be required to have a master's degree. So now let's discuss briefly how you apply for a PhD program. So most prospective students are normally expected to submit a research proposal to the department they wish to undertake their study in. So the proposal normally contains your intended research area, the gap you've identified from literature, and how this relates to other research in that particular field, and what method you intend to use to carry out your research. If you want me to discuss more in details on how to write a research proposal for a PhD program, please let me know down in the comment section below. With regards to how long a PhD program is, I'm always very careful answering this question because it depends on a lot of factors. Take example this year 2020 of the thing that shall not be named. Most PhD students have had their programs extended just because they couldn't get into the university or they couldn't have the ability to do their work. But typically, the duration of a full-time PhD is 3 to 4 years, while a part-time PhD is 6 to 7 years. So now let's discuss what a PhD involves. So a typical PhD involves writing a dissertation of around 80,000 to 100,000 words based on the research you carried out over the period of your study. The research must be original and aim to create new knowledge or theories in their specialized area, or build on existing knowledge or theories. There is also an alternative way to write a PhD thesis, which is called a PhD 3-paper model. With this method of writing a PhD thesis, you are required to produce 3 full papers at the end of your PhD program. If you would like for me to discuss more about the structure of PhD thesis, please let me know down in the comment section below. Now that we are done discussing some general information on PhD, let's go to discuss some factors you should consider before you apply for a PhD program. So first thing first is, why do you want to do a PhD program? Why have you decided to do a PhD program or a PhD study? What is your reason for this? Did you enjoy your topic for your master's and are you trying to expand your knowledge on a particular field? Do you need this qualification for a particular job? Are you hoping to become a lecturer? Are you hoping to become a researcher? Is your goal to add to existing knowledge or to create a new knowledge? You have to be able to answer these questions, because let there be no false pretense, completing a PhD is not easy. It's actually a full-time commitment to study for 3 to 4 years, and you are doing this willingly. So you have to make sure that this is what you want. Don't get me wrong, doing a PhD is great, but you have to make sure that this is what you want. The next point is, do you understand the academic requirements expected of you? So, a PhD is an academic qualification. That is why most institutions require that their candidates hold a master's degree with a high academic standing. Along with a bachelor's degree, you would also have to show that you also have the ability to conduct this research independently, because PhD are not generally like masters or undergrad, meaning you would have to develop your own timetable. There is no pre-planned timetable for lectures. This is why you require good organizational skills to be able to plan potential laboratory time, duration of experiments, write-up sections, seminars, and so on. Because the last thing you will want is to find out after a year that you haven't met up to the standard of work that you're expected to. And because of this, you are asked to either withdraw or put on probation. So the typical mode of assessment for PhD is called an annual review. At the end of each academic year, you are assessed by your PhD supervisors and an internal chair from your institution on your progress. If they feel you haven't met up to your expected work that is required of you, you may be put on probation and given a time duration to upgrade your work. If they determine that you may not have the necessary skills required for this academic journey, you might be advised to withdraw. Please note that this is different from your PhD final exam, which is called your PhD Viva. Another factor you have to consider is, do you have the drive for this? Because time and time again, PhD students start their PhD programs but do not complete it because of various reasons. But what we're focusing on today is people that actually drop out of PhD programs because they realize in the middle of their study that this is not what they want. That's why you have to know what drives you personally, what your future goals are, and how this aligns with your potential PhD studies. The next point is, you have to make sure that you are picking a subject or a topic that you're interested in, because you're going to be doing this for a very long time, 3 to 4 years if you're full-time, and you have to make sure that you're interested in this topic even if you're funded, because I understand that with some funded PhD you have pre-established topics, but you have to make sure that you are actually interested in these topics. The next factor you have to consider is, are you prepared for a PhD journey? Yes, PhD is actually a journey. Just add 3 to 4 years to your present age if you're going to be full-time, or add 6-7 years to your present age if you're going to be part-time. And most times PhD is not just about academic writing. You also have to do presentations, you also have to attend seminars, you might have to conduct experiments, you might have to collect primary data, and so on. So it is a journey. You have to make sure that you're prepared to undertake this journey. Another factor to consider is your work-life balance. For some individuals, they do their PhD in the later part of their life, and this may mean they already have children, they already have family, they already have businesses. And when you're studying for a PhD, you would most likely need to combine your academic life with your personal life for the duration of the PhD. So you have to make sure that you are well equipped for such commitments, and you are also aware what this commitment means. So it's not like masters or undergrad where you just have to do assignments or do research or actually just read to pass some exams. With PhDs, it requires way more in-depth research. Another factor you have to consider is, who are your potential PhD supervisors? It is important to be passionate about your projects, but another important part is your potential PhD supervisors. You have to do your research on who these individuals are, what are their areas of interest, what projects have they been on previously, how do they work, what are their supervisory styles. This is important because the relationship you have with your PhD supervisors is more like a partnership or an apprenticeship where you guys work together and you're constantly learning from them. Another point to consider is, how would you be funded? So where will your finances be coming from? Because typically there are two categories of PhD students with regards to funding. We have the self-funded PhD students and the PhD students who get studentship, who are funded in general. With the funded PhD students, they could get their tuition paid and also get stipend and also get extra money for to go for conferences, to attend seminars. But with the self-funded PhD students, you have to make sure that you are not just only focused on paying your tuition fees. Do not forget some other expenses such as seminars, conferences, some experiments. If you're going to be self-funded, you have to make sure you have a working plan on how you intend to afford your academic studies and your personal life for at least 3 to 4 years. What I mean by personal life is you have to make sure you have money set aside for your accommodation, your feeding, and some personal expenses. Another factor to consider is what are your potential goals and how does this align with your potential PhD? So when you imagine yourself 10 to 15 years in the future, where do you see yourself and how does this fit in with the PhD program you're about to apply for? The last point we're going to discuss today is what impact does your PhD have on the world? As you all know, the aim of PhD programs is to create new knowledge or to add to existing knowledge. So I'm hoping that the knowledge you're hoping to add to your field of study is going to have a positive impact, and this could make all the difference in your field of study. So today we spoke about some general information on PhDs and factors you have to consider before you apply for a PhD program. So I'm hoping that after considering all these factors, if you choose to go ahead with your PhD, you finally complete it and you're called a doctor. But don't forget, if there is actually an incident and you're calling out for doctors, you're not technically allowed to raise your hand because you're not the kind of doctors that they're looking for. All joke aside, I want to use this opportunity to thank all the healthcare professionals all over the world. You guys are the real superheroes, and thank you for everything you've done throughout this period. I also want to say thank you to everybody who's watched to the end of this video, and thank you to those of you who subscribed to my channel so far. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, please take the time out to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the red button below. Please also like and share my videos, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you always know when I upload. Thanks guys, see you next week. Bye guys.